have in the studio with us today a couple really great guests. We've got Jimmy Murray and Chris Piazzik with Lyon Property Management, and they've got some awesome topics today. I figured it would be great to bring on a reputable property management company because we have so many of our listeners and so many realtors out there and whatnot that are tuning in that may have some questions or that that need some advice in this area. So why not have these guys on the show? Jimmy, thanks so much for being in the studios.
Emilio, appreciate you having us out this morning. It's a great opportunity. Can't wait to connect with all the listeners out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Chris, thanks for being here. Chris is, he's sidelined over there. We only have 3 mics, and we have Mary as our co-host right now. So, Chris, thanks for being here, too.
Thanks for having us.
All right, good. You're welcome. So one of the topics that we wanted to talk about was good to great property management. And I think that's a wonderful title for it.
So the biggest thing for all the property owners out there that own cash flowing property, you want to pay attention to the type of property manager that you bring in. So focusing on the differences between a good to great property management company, it all depends on where their interests lie. So you have to make sure as a property manager, and this is what we do on a daily basis, we make sure that if our owners are not making money, then we're not making money either. So like a lot of these guys who are good, they get paid no matter what, whether it's filled with tenants or whether it's not.
Yep.
So if it's not filled with tenants, that owner is not making any dollars. So those are the good guys. But a really great property manager, he makes sure that his interests are aligned, whether it be charging the right amount for maintenance, keeping the units filled, building the units in a timely manner.
Yep.
That's a great property manager.
So I think one of the biggest questions I get, and I know it varies, it's like if you hire a realtor, their fee is going to vary from person to person. And I'm not saying you have to throw out your fee on air, but how does it normally work? If you own a 3-family or a few, multi-families or whatnot, how exactly does the fee structure work for property managers?
Sure. So our fee's capped. So a lot of these guys, unlimited 8 to 10% of gross monthly rents. We recognize that any unit we pick up, the amount of effort that we put into that unit on a monthly basis is going to cap out at some point.
Okay.
So our monthly fee is capped at $100. So say if you own a single family house, a lot of the maintenance in the contract is handled by the tenant. So whether it be snow plowing or whether it be lawn maintenance. So we recognize that we're not putting additional time into that property.
Okay.
So if you're on the east side of Providence and you're netting a $2,000 or grossing a $2,000 a month rent, you're only going to pay us $100 because the actual management of that tenant only takes a fixed amount of time on a monthly basis.
Yeah. So, and one of the things that I really obviously admire about what you've done, Jimmy, is you've bought a ton of properties as well. So you understand the pains of a property owner and the frustrations of getting the phone calls at 3 a.m. And Mary, I know you've been through it as well.
I think it's hard some days to separate emotionally because you're the owner of the property and it's yours, and it's hard not to take it personally, especially if you've been a generous landlord and sometimes the tenants fall on hard times and they forget your generosity in previous months.
Yes.
And then it becomes harder, or if you're going through a tough time yourself personally and taking phone calls because there's normal wear and tear and replacements, appliances will break down, things will go wrong, and I've found it. Some of the best advice would be to have a property manager because you're treating it like a business. And, we can all do all the work, but are we good at doing all of the work? And how much emotional energy does it take from you to be receiving those calls and collecting the rents? And it's nice to transfer that responsibility. And I have clients that, are older and they get tired of getting the, toilet needs to be fixed phone call.
Yeah.
So I think both of you guys make great points, but I'm going to touch on Mary's point first about, making sure that it's run like a business. That's first and foremost for us because at the end of the day, it's not only tenant management, it's, income statement management as well. So that great property manager is going to focus on, okay, how do we, absolutely tend to the tenant's needs, but also how do we increase revenue? So whether it be increasing rent or also decreasing expenses. And then the other point that you made, Emilio, surrounding that 3 a.m. phone call about the leaking toilet.
Yes.
So the amount of years that I've been doing this, received my first leaky toilet phone call at 2 a.m. after the Conor McGregor fight. I think it was UFC 196.
Yeah.
But that was the first one in all the years that I've been doing this. So
Wow.
it was an amazing thing. So I know that that holds a lot of people back from investing in properties. So if that's holding you back, you can just hire us and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. And another thing, too, is, if you've had experiences with tenants that weren't paying or just tough tenants all around, it's so much easier to have a third party go in and take care of it because they're like, wow, these guys mean business. And oftentimes people are more inclined, and this might sound crazy, I'm sure you guys have seen it, people are more inclined to pay a property manager on time and not try to kind of wheel and deal and say, look, I'm going to be late. I'm not getting
They're
paid
not
until
selling
next
the
week.
Situation, and some of the most successful property property investors that I know, the tenants don't even receive their cell phone number. It is the property manager's number only. There's no reason for the owner of the building to actually have any personal relationship at all with the tenants. Those are the most successful landlords I know.
Yeah, and going back to Mary's point, she made a good point earlier about, sometimes landlords or property owners are a little bit softer on their tenants.
Yes.
And we totally recognize that.
I find, a landlord gets a story of, I'm on hard times this month, I'll catch up, and they believe them. And it's that flinched moment of delaying to actually send out the 5-day demand, and it starts spiraling in a bad direction very quickly.
Absolutely.
And then you're days out, weeks, months out to getting the apartment back if it's going to be an eviction situation. And not everybody just ups and leaves, and it's nice to have somebody with their hands on at the ground level that can say, okay, here's what I see. Do we need to do cash for keys? Is that a better solution, a more economical solution to moving people on? Because, I know, having done a number of evictions myself, because I inherited some properties through unfortunate circumstances, that judges are much nicer to the landlord in court when you.
It all depends on the judge.
It depends on the judge.
Right.
It also depends on your legal representation. And I will say, never, ever, ever go into court without an attorney representing you as the landlord. The judge is not on your side, at least not on the first visit. And when you have a property manager in court, the judge treats those cases differently when there's a property manager representing the owner. And I've watched it myself. And when I tell you I did at least a dozen evictions last year, the guys with the property managers got treated better.
Absolutely.